St. Josemaria would say, here we are in the St. Josemaria Chapel of St. Mary of the Angels. St. Josemaria would say, he would encourage us to imagine ourselves to be a protagonist in the scene of the gospel. And I think as we read this gospel, which is something we should be doing every day, and we can learn to imagine ourselves and put ourselves into the scenes of the gospel as though we're really there present. And I think what we want to do in this gospel is imagine ourselves as the man born blind. Because isn't it true? We were born blind. We were born in original sin. We did not see the light, did not have the light of faith. But it was conferred on us with the waters of baptism. Just like this man born blind was able to go to the pool of Siloam and wash that mud off his eyes, sign of baptism, and recover his sight or regain his sight for the first time because he was born in darkness. The man born blind, without grace, a pity for everybody, but is loved by Jesus Christ and is healed. The world that we live in today is blind. Some are blind like this man born blind and is healed. But some are blind like the Pharisees that Jesus condemns. Some of the Pharisees who were with him heard this and said to them, "Surely we are not blind also, are we?" Jesus said to them, "If you were blind, you would have no sin. But because you are saying, 'We see,' your sin remains." You are really living in sin because you do see, and yet you do not choose to believe. You know, we are saddened. Yesterday we heard that we have to lock our church buildings and are unable to even visit the Blessed Sacrament in the tabernacle. Let alone we are not able to attend Mass and receive our Lord in the Eucharist. And I think that saddens a lot of us. It saddens me because we work very hard to make Christ available to everyone we can. But I think one of the things that we see that has happened here is, guess what? There's no sacrilegious communions taking place. Who could have imagined that? I mean, I know many of us have been really pained to know of so many people that are receiving communion but are ill-disposed. We think of the pro-abortion politicians, not that we are to judge them, but we know their stance is diametrically opposed to everything that Jesus Christ taught. And yet they are pretending, or at least some of them, to be Catholic and to be able to receive communion, that they are in communion with Jesus Christ and all that he teaches through the Catholic Church. And think how much that must pain our Lord. Or how many others that are doing it just because everybody else is going to communion, they want to go to communion too. They don't want to be left out. Or so many are worried about what people are going to think of me if I don't go to communion. And ignore the teachings of Christ and St. Paul that if we are conscious of any mortal sin, any grave sin, we have to go to confession before we can receive our Lord in Holy Communion. Now, some are blind, like the man born blind. They're ignorant. They don't know what they are doing. But many others are doing so knowing that is wrong. And because you are saying we see, because we know what is right, your sin remains. And I think our Lord is now telling us, enough is enough. Enough of this. And maybe this is, the coronavirus is precisely that way to bring this to the fore, that this cannot continue. And that each one of us, because we can't receive our Lord in communion, because we can't go to Mass and celebrate Mass with our faithful, our Lord is saying, we need to do reparation. We need to repair for how much our Lord has been hurt and pained by all sin, but especially, I think, the sacrilegious communions. Our Lady of Fatima would say, you need to do reparation to appease the wrath of God, to appease the pain that our Lord is experiencing in his heart, and Our Lady's heart as well. So let's imagine ourselves as this man born blind who has received the light. And what does the man born blind do after he receives the light? He rejoices. He tells all his neighbors, people that knew him. Some knew him less. It just looks like, Joe over there that was born blind. No, this is really him. But he's evangelizing. He's sharing his story. And he's telling them it's Jesus Christ that made him see. He evangelizes his parents. Even though they choose not to believe. They're afraid what everybody else is going to think. They're afraid of getting kicked out of the synagogue. They're afraid of, and so they don't believe in Jesus Christ. He evangelizes the Pharisees. He accuses them. They ridiculed him, and they say, you're just one of his disciples. We're disciples of Moses. He says, this is what's so amazing, that you don't know where he is from. Yet he opened my eyes. And we know that God does not listen to sinners. But if one is devout and does his will, he listens to him. It is unheard of that anyone ever opened the eyes of a person born blind. If this man were not of God, he would not be able to do anything. And all they could say is, you are just totally in sin, and you're trying to teach us? They had no answer for him, because he had the truth. But he's able to evangelize the worst sinners. That's what God is calling you and me to do, to evangelize. And to share. Not that we're better than other people, we're born blind. We too are sinners. But we share with others what Jesus Christ has done for us. In these days where our routine and everything is thrown out of whack, and in a sense we're trying to figure out how to take advantage of the time, use it well, I think let's imitate the man born blind. God is calling us to evangelize. And we can do this. Making phone calls, calling people, calling our friends, calling family members. Sometimes it might be even people that have been estranged from us. But, everybody's talking about COVID-19, the coronavirus. And they're worried. They're worried about the effects on the economy. They're worried about their vacation trips that they had planned for this summer. But some are worried about loved ones who may get the virus or get sick, or may be fearing that they themselves may get it. And this can be a great opportunity for very deep conversations with people. We want to be like this man born blind who encounters Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ asks him, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" And he answered and said, "Who is he, sir, that I may believe in him?" He wants to be taught. He wants to be evangelized himself or catechized. He's already been evangelized. He's already believes in Jesus Christ. Now he has to be catechized. He has to learn about his faith. You have seen him, and the one speaking to you, with you, is he. And I believe, Lord. And he worshiped him. That our deep conversations can be to provoke people to an encounter with Jesus Christ, to fall in love with Jesus Christ. And then we can catechize them. And what beautiful things. That we can lead people, that they too become children of light. Like St. Paul said to the Ephesians, "You were once in darkness, but you are now in the light of the Lord." You are now light in the Lord, who is light. What a wonderful thing that has happened to us. I think in all of this, let's entrust our efforts, yes, to Our Lady of Fatima to help us to do reparation for the sins that impact our Lord. Let's go to Our Lady, Refuge of Sinners. This is a wonderful title that our Lord made, the church made to our Lord. Refuge of Sinners, that's Our Lady. And it's very interesting that the first bishop of California, actually the Californias, because it's also Alta and Baja California, the part of California that's in Mexico, that he was made bishop, and the first thing he did was entrust his diocese to Our Lady under the title Refuge of Sinners. I bet you he didn't know how prophetic that act was going to be. It's not like California has an exclusive rights on sinfulness, but I think we all can go to Our Lady, Refuge of Sinners, invoking her, asking her pardon for our own sins, but on the sins of all the world, that we would, use this as an opportunity to get ourselves closer to God through her and bring many other people to God through her as well. Just a reminder, there's no second collection today. There's no first collection today. However, we still are counting on your contributions. So if you can contribute either online or put your envelope in the mail, that's either one is fine, but that we could see that, we're counting on your generosity during this time. We are still paying our employees. We're still paying for the electricity and the gas, even though our boiler has been turned off in the church because the new one is being put online. But your generosity is something that is important for our parish.